Today I decided to talk a little bit about some problems that are going to be facing the Vietnamese people that are largely caused by Western people, and not the Western people that ought to be causing problems. It's the people that should be solving problems. Today I'm going to talk about fossil fools. Now, a fossil fool is a person that thinks that climate change and all that can be solved overnight by eliminating fossil fuels. In reality, that isn't going to happen. You know, a rapid transition to wind or solar power is really unreasonable. There just isn't enough capacity in the world to make it work. We have nowhere near the capability of producing that type of energy and that much energy to fuel our economies in the developed countries by using solar and wind. And of course, we're nowhere near the point that we can switch to all electric vehicles and things like that. That's still a pipe dream. It can happen, but it isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen soon. You know, another thing is the safe energy that they always are touting. That's nuclear. Nuclear energy is far from being safe. Yeah, it may be safe sometimes, but it creates problems that can last hundreds of years. We've also had two major disasters with Chernobyl and Fukushima in Japan. And these disasters are ongoing. They're not solved. The problems are a bit covered up, but they're not solved. And also there's the problem of nuclear waste from reactors that basically never goes away. It's stored all over the place, and it's dangerous. So there's a lot of deception going on with the Green New Deal people, the radicals that think that we can transition to alternate energies overnight and that's going to save the world. Well, first of all, it's not going to save the world because China and India are pumping out so much pollution. There's nothing that the United States or Western Europe could do to reduce the level of emissions going into the atmosphere. They're making more power plants than we could possibly shut down. It's beyond belief how many coal-powered plants that China's making. They're making a lot of them. And as long as they're doing that, there's not going to be an easy solution to the fossil fuel problem. There's a lot of lies going on. There's a lot of lies going on in the government, and there's a lot of lies going on in the media about how fast we can transition from fossil fuel to alternate energy sources, clean energy. And they're trying to shift the blame. And lately, they've tried to shift the blame to the oil companies. Well, the oil companies didn't cause this problem, in the U.S. especially. In the U.S., it was Biden's policies that caused the problem. And they can do whatever they want, and they can say whatever they want, but you have to face reality that they're the ones that stopped all of the energy production, halted the energy production, and slowed down the delivery of fuels in the future by killing the Keystone Pipeline. So, who are you going to blame? Well, they're blaming the oil companies, they're blaming Putin.
You may have noticed this week that your gas prices have gone up. I want to talk to you a little bit about why. A lot of it has to do with Vladimir Putin.
We only get about 5% of our energy from Putin, and we could definitely make that up real easy with a little drilling. And they're blaming everybody except their own bad policies. Their bad policies are a reaction to the Trump era successes. Basically, anything that Trump did was bad. And so let's reverse it. And that's what they did. And look what it's cost us. You know, climate change proponents there's kind of two classes of them. There's zealots like John Kerry that flies around in his private jet talking about how climate change is more important than a war that could lead to World War III. He has views that couldn't possibly solve a climate change disaster. And then there's the moderates. The moderates really aren't full-fledged energy zealots. They're followers. They follow the radicals to get votes. They follow the radicals in order to line their pockets with energy money by investing in stocks. Basically, they're a bunch of phonies. And also the moderates know that the radical policy is unrealistic. The radicals also think and have convinced the government that it would be better to buy energy from our adversaries and sworn enemies than it would be to produce our own energy. Now, how crazy is that? I think it's pretty crazy. Buying energy from your enemies also increases your national security risks. I mean, would you buy your bullets from your enemy? Would you buy your artillery shells from your enemy? I don't think so. So why would you buy your fuel from your enemy? It kind of goes against the grain. Also, the carbon footprint of producing energy in other countries and shipping it to the U.S. is greater than just producing it in the U.S. You know, in any kind of emergency, we're going to need all the fuel we can get. If we go to war and somebody uses an EMP system to shut down the energy grid, or if we are involved in a cyber attack that shuts down oil production, we're in big trouble. We need to be producing energy at home in the U.S. And what about all those electric cars? They're all dependent on an energy grid. It's like having one gas station in the city running all the cars. If something disrupts that energy source, be it an EMP or a cyber attack, all of those cars have got about a few hundred miles in their history. They're toast. And you can't say right now that people can put solar panels on the roof or have little generators or anything to keep those electric powered cars running. It's just not practical, and it's not going to happen, and it won't happen. That's not the way it works. Right now they plug them into the power grid. And if the power grid goes down, the cars go down. And you won't be able to pull into a gas station and grab a couple of gallons and head out, try to make it home. Hey, you know, great changes just don't happen overnight. And that's what the radicals don't seem to understand. There are alternative fuel sources that are clean. LPG's pretty darn clean. Hydrogen's clean. There's a lot of things that are clean. Even nuclear could be clean in the future. We don't know yet. But it takes time to prove these things out and to put them in production. And the Green New Deal energy fanatics, the fossil fools, they don't seem to understand that, and they don't seem to care about it either, and they don't care how it affects you. You know, another thing, look who produces our solar panels and lithium batteries that we use in everything. The rooftop electricity comes from China. The lithium batteries mostly come from China too. So we're already dependent on our enemies for our power. The real urgency of switching to clean energy is kind of a made-up thing. It's made up by the fossil fools that are trying to change our energy structure and change our life with a sense of urgency, and the urgency isn't real. We just don't need it, and we don't need it that fast. We have energy to last hundreds of years if we just use it, if we drill for it. We don't have to buy it from our enemies, and we can get it right here at home. Yeah, it's not the cleanest energy in the world, but our technology makes it cleaner every year. The U.S. has reduced its emissions over the last 10 years a great deal, and it's all because of our technology. The immediate effect of cutting off Russian fuel because of sanctions, that's not going to affect us much. It may affect Russia a little, but it's not going to affect us. The other thing, it's just not a good idea to be buying fuel from our enemies, as I said before. The fuel costs were already going up before the Russian and Ukrainian situation started. So how can we blame them for something we had already implemented ourselves? So what did we get for it? We got higher energy costs, we got inflation, we got dependency on our adversaries. We've also lost the ability to help our EU friends reduce their dependency on Russia as a fuel source. The fossil fools like John Kerry and like AOC, they can just kind of make me sick when I hear them talk. They lie to us. They tell us things that aren't true, and they think that we're going to go for things that aren't possible. And because we put them in office, they're making the changes that are killing our economy. So what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. For one, I'm going to vote. That always helps. But is that enough? I'm not sure. We have to stop the lunacy. We have to try to convince people with facts that the dependency on fossil fuels doesn't have to be permanent. It can be reduced, but it has to be reduced at a reasonable pace and when the fuels are available to make that transition possible. And at this moment in time, they're just not. I'm here at Royal Coffee today enjoying the breeze and enjoying the new waterfall. It wasn't running the last time I was here. Hey, this place is really going to shape up to be a beautiful coffee shop. There's customers in here today too. That's pretty nice. Hopefully they'll attract more and this coffee shop will stay around for a long time. It's super nice. And watch out for the people you can't trust. And bottom line, the people you can't trust are media and government. You really have to look around and try to find the truth. And the truth sometimes is cleverly hidden. I think that they use several means to do that. One is just outright not telling the truth or lying. And the other is lies by omission, about not covering news that's important. Lies of omission may be the worst. They're the ones that don't give you the facts because they don't give you the news at all. Lies of omission may leave you in the dark about things that you really need to make decisions for your lifestyle and your life and your family. So take it from me, you can't trust them. Don't trust them. When you spot the government or the media lying to you, hey, get online, send them an email, bitch about it a little. It doesn't hurt a thing to do that. Of course, catching them in a lie is pretty easy. Happens all the time. So anyway, now you know why I call them fossil fools. It's because they lie, they deceive, and they try to influence our government to follow policies that are unrealistic. They're definitely fossil fools. We need to make it obvious to people what they're doing and how they're distorting the truth to get their own way. And their own way is ridiculous. It's not possible, and it isn't going to happen anytime soon. What they are going to accomplish is destroying our economy and our way of life. And I'll try not to do too many of these political videos. I'm not really a political person, but I am kind of realistic about the way things happen. And I'm seeing things happen right here in Vietnam that the West is causing. And the problem isn't Russia, the problem is Washington. And we see it here, and I know you see it at home. So I wish everybody good luck. This is JR, the Texpat in Saigon, saying thank y'all for watching.